to your Pilates studio. This is a video about balance. The only thing you're going to need for this is a chair or a table, something you can rest on for support for the second exercise. Now, balance, or single leg balance in particular, seems to be consistently the thing that most people struggle with when they first start doing Pilates. Now, a lot feeds into your balance. Obviously, your inner ear has an effect on how well you balance, but there's a lot of muscular things that we can work on and alignment issues we can correct that are going to help us to improve our balance. So to begin with, I just want you to completely relax. I don't want you to think about your alignment. I don't want you to think about your core activation. If you've done Pilates before, just completely relax, let everything go, and just start to bring one leg up at a time and see what it feels like through the body as you do this. Okay. Do you feel a bit more wobbly on one side than the other? Is it harder to balance on one leg, or is it pretty much the same both sides? So try and remember which side, if it is difficult, which side is harder to do. And then I want you to think about what's happening in your pelvis. So put your fingertips on your hip bones and just lift one leg up at a time. And just see what's going on there. Is the pelvis relatively still and stable, or is there a bit of a hitch and a sway going on? Right? Does your whole body tip? Are your ankles feeling wobbly? Is it your knee that's moving around? What's going on through the body as you balance? But in particular, remember which side is the hardest side. Now we're going to add a little bit of alignment and see if we can make a difference with our alignment and with our core activation. So we're going to bring the feet under the knees under the hips. As you glance down, you've got nice little tram lines. We're going to think about that piece of string coming from the bottom all the way up through the spine, pulling us up towards the ceiling. So we lift the rib cage away from the hips, arms are relaxed, soft through the knees. We're going to tip and tilt the tailbone, so tucking the tailbone under and then out and behind. So tuck and then lift. We're going to find that midpoint where the tailbone is pointing down towards the floor. Soft arch through the lower back. Okay, now we're nicely in neutral through the pelvis, legs and upper body. We're going to start to switch on through our core to try and hold that position. So we're going to think about that hipster belt coming across and down over the lower abdominals. We're going to draw all the way in through the nose. And we're going to pull that belt in as tight as it'll go. So drawing everything in and then releasing completely on the out breath. It's a bit too strong. And again, inhale through the nose. Just drawing that belt halfway and still release on the out breath. It's still a bit strong to maintain. And again, in through the nose. Just pull that belt in a third of the way. Now that you should be able to hold on to and release the breath over the top. So if that's a 10-notch belt, you've only done up to the third notch, but hopefully we can keep it there. So keep the breath, keep that connection, keep that length through the spine. Now put your hands on your hip bones. And we're just going to do some heel lifts. So just want you to lift one heel, bring it up, place it back down, keep the length through the spine, keep that connection in the lower abdominals, and just see if you can feel what's going on in your pelvis now. Hopefully that connection is helping you keep the hip bones nice and level, the pelvis a lot more still and stable. Now remember which side was your trickier side. For me it's this side, so I'm going to take my fingers and dig them into my bottom on that side. Really dig them in. Now I'm going to squeeze the buttock on that side, feel them tighten underneath my fingertips, feel those muscles tighten, and then release. And again, tighten and release. Now tighten them up, try and maintain that. So hold on to that buttock, keep that connection through your core and the length through the spine. Now we're going to lift that foot off the floor. Bring the heel up and see if we can bring the knee up. And with that length in the spine, that core connection and that engagement through that buttock, those glutes on that side, is your balance improved from when you were just trying to lift and you weren't thinking about it. Okay. Hopefully what you feel, I know for me, it's so much easier when I've got that length through the spine, that connection through my core and those glutes engaged. Because everything is now working together to keep me nice and still and stable. I've got the stability through my ankle, knee and hips. I've got my pelvis nice and still. Everything, the alignment and the engagement through those muscles is really going to help me to stay nice and still. So all you're going to do for your first exercise is this. Find your alignment, get your fingers in your bottom, squeeze until you feel that tension, And then just practice lifting your heel, maybe even the knee up off the mat or the floor, but keeping as still as possible through the supporting side. So keeping your knee over your ankle, keeping your hip over your knee, keeping your length through the spine, and just practice doing that. 10 to 15 times, a few more if you can. Just practicing squeezing the bottom and lifting. And that's your first exercise, all right? It's not a difficult one to do, it's not time consuming. So if you can do it every day, that will really help you get a lot more balance or improve on your balance a lot quicker. The second exercise, because balance relies on strength and stability all the way down that supporting side, we worked on the buttock with that one, working on our core as well, but we're going to work specifically on the ankle and foot, and this is where you need a little bit of support. So you're going to take your hands onto your support, so you've got a little bit of balance assistance to start with. You might not need it, but just start with it. You're going to take up the foot on the other side, and now we're going to try and lift the heel on this side, but we're going to do it without rolling the ankle around, okay? So we're going to work on that foot and ankle stability. So use your chair, you're going to peel your heel up off the floor, try and lift up onto the toes as high as you can, but the important thing is not to let that ankle roll around, all right? So your focus is on keeping all of this line, this kinetic chain, nice and still and stable as you do it. So lifting up and then slowly back down. And just work on the stability and the alignment. All right, that's why you need the chair. There's no point letting go of the chair and you're wobbling around all over the place, okay? Use the chair to support that movement and keep it nice and still and stable. And again, aim to do 15 to 20 if you can, starting on your difficult side, going over to the other side, and then coming back to your trickier side. So you're building that strength through that weaker side. Lifting up. So as you're doing this, still thinking about lengthening the spine, still keeping in your core connection, so you're still working that side. And if you put your fingertips in your bottom, you'll feel that side's having to work still as well. Good. And two more. Coming up and down. And you're going to try and build this until you can do this, she says, without any support. This is my weaker side, you can see. Okay, so get your fingertips lighter and lighter and lighter on that chair until maybe you can take them off. Okay, you might not come up as high, so it's harder for me to get up. But that's where you're working to. Start with the support to begin with. Gradually make your fingertips lighter. You're aiming to get up as high onto those toes as you can. All right? And those are your two exercises. Nice and simple. If you've not got a side that's particularly worse than the other, then work as evenly as you can. If one side is a lot weaker, focus on that side. Obviously do work on the other side as well, but add a little bit more to the weaker side. And let me know how you get on.